whispering, I don't know why. Hey up, it's that old Yorkshire geek here, back again with some more geeky news. I couldn't find my microphone mute button then, but I found it now. So anyway, we've got some news tonight. But before I start, I've seen the first episode of Star Trek Picard Season 2. I've got nothing to show you about it, obviously, because I've just watched it. And I have to say, I didn't hate it, but there are some minor niggly problems. The story's not exactly, original. I mean, they've been down this path before, many times in Star Trek. So I'll do a proper review at another time, but just letting you know that I've seen it. It's not horrible. It seems better than last season. They've tried to make it more, next generation-y. You've got starships that have nice LCARS displays and stuff like that. Oh, pardon me. But the ships themselves still look very Discovery-ish. The corridors and all that. They're still, the production design is still, it's obviously by the same people, but it's still, very much like Star Trek Discovery, which is a downside for me anyway. But that's what ship designs from the outside. That's look quite good. You see, spoilers, the USS Stargazer, which is, a nice design. And there's some others that you see from a distance, and they look Star Trek-y. And thank goodness we're not seeing the awful, well, I don't think we are. I didn't notice one anyway, the awful, well, they're not awful, but the Star Trek Discovery shuttles, which popped up everywhere, didn't they? They were even in season 1 of Picard, weren't they? There might have been one in the background. I never noticed. I've just watched it once. Anyway, so that's enough of that. We'll do a review of that later. Not later today, maybe tomorrow or whenever. Whenever I get round to it, basically. Right, anyway, we're starting off. Hang on, I've got to make myself small, haven't I? Where am I going? I've got a new mouse. I said I'm going to get a new mouse. Well, I've got one, and I don't know how to work it. It's one of them ergonomic ones, and I'm not used to it. Anyway, right. Is that too big or too small? Whatever, it don't matter. Right. So, anyway. Just let me get rid of... No, I'll leave that there. Anyway, you don't know what I'm doing. I'm clicking on things. Anyway, first off, I shouldn't be laughing, because it's sad news. There we go. Alan Ladd Jr., Star Wars' saviour, and Oscar winner for Braveheart, dies at 84. Of course, Alan Ladd, he championed Star Wars, for a Fox studio that wasn't convinced about the film. And Alan Ladd Jr., who was the head of the studio, convinced the board that it should continue, should be released. He said it was going to be the greatest film ever, which at the time, it was the most successful film ever, wasn't it? Anyway, a long-time studio exec and son of a movie icon, he also had a hand in such films as Blade Runner, The Turning Point, Alien, and Thelma and Louise. Alan Ladd Jr., the revered Hollywood producer and studio executive who saved Star Wars when Fox wanted to shut down production and gained vindication when he received an Oscar for Braveheart after being dumped by MGM, has died. He was 84. Alan Ladd, who headed production at Fox, Pathé Entertainment and MGM in 2 stints and ran his own outfit, the Ladd Company, with great success, died Wednesday, his daughter Amanda Ladd Jones said. With the heaviest of hearts, we announced that on March 2nd, 2022, Alan Ladd Jr. died peacefully at home, surrounded by his family. That's how we all want to go, ain't it? She wrote on social media, "Words cannot express how deeply he will be missed. His impact on films and filmmaking will live on in his absence." As a studio executive and producer, Ladd, the son of screen idol Alan Ladd, This Gun for Hire and Shane, had a hand in 14 Best Picture nominees. His imprint can be found on such touchstone films as Young Frankenstein, 1974, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975, The Omen, 1976, Breaking Away, 1979, Body Heat, 1981, Chariots of Fire, 1981, Blade Runner, 1982, and Moonstruck, 1987. Before it was fashionable, Ladd supported films with strong female-centric themes, including Robert Altman's Three Women, 1977, Julia, 1977, starring Oscar winner Vanessa Redgrave, 11-time Academy Award nominee The Turning Point, 1977, Paul Mazursky's An Unmarried Woman, 1978, starring Jill Clayburgh, Norma Ray, 1979, which earned Sally Field an Oscar for Best Actress, and the Bette Midler starring The Rose, 1979. Oh, got an itch right in the middle of my back. I do apologise. Ladd upped the ante by making a woman the main protagonist in a big-budget action film with Ridley Scott's Alien, 1979, starring Sigourney Weaver, and he greenlit, whatever. Thelma and Louise, 1991, the icon of feminist cinema, top-lined by Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. An exception to the stereotypical studio chief or producer who could be vulgar or duplicitous, Ladd was genial and soft-spoken, affectionately called Laddie by his peers and known for making tasteful yet commercial pictures. There are snakes in this business, and then there's Alan Ladd Jr., director Richard Donner once said. In 2011, Ladd and Warner Brothers settled a long-running suit in which he claimed the studio had underpaid his company millions of dollars in profits from a slate of films including Blade Runner, Chariots of Fire, and the Police Academy movies. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Warner Brothers getting sued for not paying, profits. Because Peter Jackson did it, didn't he? Because with his Lord of the Rings, they were never paid by Warner Brothers, who claimed the Lord of the Rings films never turned a profit. Ladd was born in Los Angeles on October 22nd, 1937, and practically grew up on the Paramount and Fox lots in Hollywood. While his father was starring in pictures, he romped around the sound stages during his school vacation days, meeting up with his father in the evenings after shooting. Ladd lived with his mother after his parents divorced, but she was in poor health, and he returned to his father, who died from an accidental overdose of sedatives and alcohol in 1964 when Ladd Jr. was 26. The son once called their relationship basically non-existent. As a boy in Beverly Hills, he took a job as a movie usher so that he could see Errol Flynn pictures 5 or 6 times. He developed his Saturday matinee rule of thumb, which included 3 musts: root for the hero, boo the bad guy, and keep a fast pace. Upon high school, maybe that's where George Lucas got his faster and more intense line from. Direction. Upon high school graduation, he studied abroad for a year and a half with a tutor while his father was working in Europe. He returned to Los Angeles and enrolled at USC, where he played football and basketball. That'd be American football, not soccer, not that. Ladd began his movie industry career as a stuntman on his father's films Santiago, 1956, and The Deep Six, 1958. In the early 1960s, Ladd joined Creative Management Associates as a talent agent, repping the likes of Judy Garland, Robert Redford, and Warren Beatty. He turned to independent production 6 years later and moved to London, where he produced 9 films, including 1972's Elizabeth Taylor starrer X, Y, and Z. That's Z for those Brits and Canadians. Ladd returned to Los Angeles in 1973 to become head of creative affairs for Fox and quickly rose to become studio president. During his tenure, Fox produced some of its most successful films, including Star Wars 1977, which he optioned after Universal rejected it. He championed George Lucas's movie against the wishes of his board of directors, and the film became one of the most profitable in history. The only meeting I had with Laddie about the script, he said, "Look, it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, but I trust you. Go ahead and make it. That was just honest," Lucas once said. I mean, it was a crazy movie. Now you can see it, know what it is, but before you could see it, there wasn't anything like it. You couldn't explain it, It was like this furry dog driving a spaceship. I mean, what is that? But he did have Ralph McQuarrie's paintings, didn't he, to help with his presentations. When Lucas's previous movie, American Graffiti, became a hit, the director's agent, Jeff Berg, asked Fox to increase his Star Wars fees by a few $100,000. Lucas offered to take sequel rights instead, and when he got those, he traded them for merchandising rights. When that deal came up, Ladd told THR's Greg Kilday in 2018, "I said fine. At the time, merchandising meant nothing at all. Jaws had some sharks, but that was it. So we said, let's give him the merchandising and let's not give him a raise." On Wednesday, Lucas paid tribute to Ladd, telling THR in a statement, "Laddie loved film and believed in filmmakers. He was one of the few executives who bet on the person rather than the project. Without Laddie, there would be no Star Wars. He didn't understand what Star Wars was about, but he believed in me and supported my vision. Quiet and thoughtful, he had an independent spirit that gave so many storytellers a chance. He stood up to the studio and went with his gut instinct. Laddie took a great personal and professional risk on Star Wars and on me, and for that I will be forever grateful." Under his low-key guidance, Fox was adventurous and known as the place for filmmakers. Altman, for example, turned out Three Women, 1977, A Wedding, 1978, Quintet, 1979, A Perfect Couple, 1979, and Health, 1980, there. With Ladd at the studio controls, Hollywood had its first female VP, Paula Weinstein, and its first African-American marketing chief, Ashley Boone Jr. Ladd was also a cutting-edge executive in terms of distribution, pioneering the select site release pattern. Ladd resigned from Fox in 1979 out of frustration with the stifling corporate strictures of Chairman Dennis Stanfill, a former investment banker with Lehman Brothers. He formed the Ladd Company based at Warner Brothers, along with Fox associates Jay Cantor and Gareth Wigan. The company went on to produce Body Heat, Night Shift 1982, The Right Stuff 1983, and Police Academy 1984, and picked up domestic distribution rights to eventual Best Picture winner Chariots of Fire. We haven't done yet. With the Ladd Company in financial trouble, The Right Stuff was a high-cost failure at the box office. He shuttered the company and joined MGM UA in 1983. That's United Artists. In 1983, where he invigorated the studio with such successes as Spaceballs 1987, Moonstruck 1987, Willow 1988, A Fish Called Wanda 1988, and Rain Man 1988. He moved to Italian financier Giancarlo Peretti's Pathé Entertainment, where he oversaw the production of such films as The Russia House 1990. Then returned for a second MGM stint in 1991 after Pathé bought the studio from Kurt Kerkorian in a deal valued at $1.36 billion. After Peretti defaulted on more than $1 billion in loan payments, French bank Credit Lyonnais inherited MGM and ousted Ladd in favour of Frank Mancuso in July 1993. When Ladd threatened to file a breach of contract lawsuit, he was given $10 million and allowed to take with him two projects, one of which was Braveheart. Ladd re-established the Ladd Company through a production deal with Paramount, and Braveheart earned 5 Oscars, including those for Ladd and director Mel Gibson, who also starred as Scottish folk hero William Wallace. Braveheart represented sweet payback for Ladd. "I guess it is kind of a sweet justice," he told the Los Angeles Times after the 1996 Oscars. "If I were more eloquent, I would have thanked Credit Lyonnais for treating me shabbily and allowing me to take this project. With me, in fairness, MGM couldn't have afforded to make this film at the time. Paramount could. Laddie got the last laugh. Producer and close friend Richard Zanuck had told the Times this was a great vindication, and I, like a lot of other people in this town who love him, were absolutely thrilled to see him win." The Ladd Company also produced the Brady Bunch movie 1995, a Very Brady sequel 1996, and The Phantom 1996 at Paramount, and his recent producing efforts included An Unfinished Life 2005 and Gone Baby Gone 2007. Survivors include his second wife, Sindra, whom he married in 1985. Was it Kindra? I don't know. Daughters Kellyanne, Tracy and Amanda, who directed and produced a 2021 documentary about her dad titled Laddie. And brother David, another daughter Chelsea, 34, died in March 2021. And there we are. Very sad, very sad. I'd say he was one of the Behind the scenes greats was Alan Ladd Jr. wanting, as it said. Where's that? Why can't we see the picture of Ladd? He's there. There's Laddie. As it said, without him there'd have been no Star Wars. He stuck his neck out for it, and for George Lucas. And I think when he got to Empire Strikes Back, he quit because of the studio just kept mucking the production around, didn't it? And he ended up quitting. That's what it said in the documentary anyway. They call it now. That one that's on Disney Plus. Oh, brain gone again. Anyway, that one. That documentary. Oh God, can't remember the call it. Anyway, Alan Ladd's passed away at the age of 84. As I hope I live to 84. No, it's not particularly. It's elderly, isn't it? But it's not ancient these days, is it? Ooh, right. Anyway, next up, bit of Star Trek. And a bit of fun. Well, it is for me anyway. Star Trek fan launches petition to have Alex Kurtzman's Star Trek designated as non-canon. There's Alex Kurtzman, the killer of franchises, along with J.J. Abrams, of whom is an acolyte. A Star Trek fan has launched a petition to have the live-action Star Trek shows created by producer Alex Kurtzman designated as non-canon. Star Trek fan Anna G created the petition on Change.org and declared, "As you are probably aware, we have entered a new era of Star Trek," in quotes, if one could call it that. New Trek or Star Trek Discovery and Picard, I'm not considering Lower Decks because it's meant to be a joke. Blatantly disregard Gene Roddenberry's Gene Roddenberry's vision for a utopian model and optimistic future. Pardon me, Pop. The petition would include a number of examples to prove their point from YouTuber Major Grin. Oh, as good as Major Grin, subscribe to him. Look for him on YouTube. Major Grin, that's what you search for. He does lots of little short films about Star Trek and how modern Star Trek is rubbish. Comparing it to classic Star Trek. Beginning with Star Trek Discovery, the petition states, Star Trek Discovery betrays the principles upon which Star Trek was based. In the past, we've seen Kirk and Picard always offer a helping hand, even to those who would be considered enemies. And when they each had their own prejudices, Kirk's racism against the Klingons for his son's death, and Picard's hatred of the Borg for his assimilation, they learned that hatred and violence were wrong. They both disregarded their own plots of revenge because in the future humans are taught to resist prejudice and to honour life. In Discovery, we see protagonists sadistically torture, call crew members who've died idiots, and belittle others who are below them in rank, the petition asserts. And then, is this one of Major Green's videos anyway? Star Trek Discovery names janitor after Gene Roddenberry. Yes, he was called Gene, wasn't he? That man that was cleaning out the spore drive chamber. Turning to Star Trek Picard, the petition states, in Star Trek Picard we see sexism in the name of female empowerment. We see addiction glorified, poverty present, and bigotry on behalf of Starfleet, it adds. See, that's smoking in Star Trek Picard. As I said yesterday, didn't I? Gene Roddenberry had lots of no smoking signs all over the starships. I don't know if we're supposed to be watching these videos, I don't know, but anyway, we won't. From there, the petition notes, and I haven't even touched upon Alex Kurtzman's eye torture fetish he keeps throwing in. Next it declares, and I haven't even gone over the blatant disregard for pre-established canon and the abysmal story writing. This man, Alex Kurtzman, and his work are a waste of our time. If you are a true Star Trek fan, you don't approve of this. You're gatekeeping. Yes, people are saying to her, you're gatekeeping. Yes, I am. Can you look at this new Star Trek and the examples I've given and say that it aligns with Gene Roddenberry's vision? No, you can't. Don't even try, Anna G asserts. From there, Anna G makes it clear the petition will likely do nothing. Well, they don't, do they? But the hope is to send a message to Paramount and save the message of our franchise. Of our franchise. Anna G writes, what will this petition do? Probably nothing, but if we get enough signatures, if we really blow this up, we can send a message that this is not the future we want or stand for. If we come together as a community and deny these works canonical status, we can save the message of our franchise. The petition continues. No chance. No chance. Too much money sunk into it. She then states, Star Trek is supposed to be a beacon of hope. Now it's just like any other shows. Pointless violence and bigotry. Especially now, people need hope. People need Star Trek now more than ever because they need a reminder of what we can accomplish. They need a reminder of what humanity can become if we try, Anna G declares. It goes on. We are losing sight of that utopian future and we need to get it back. We need to show that it's possible. We need to deny these new messages because they do not match our hope for the future. We need to deny people like Alex Kurtzman the right to tamper with our franchise and its vision. If anything, we need to make a statement, not to be dramatic, but that's just how I feel about it, the petition concludes. As of writing, the petition has received 46 signatures. It's not a lot, is it? Do you plan on signing the petition? What do you make of Alex Kurtzman's Star Trek series? Well, let's see. I'll open the link in new tab. We'll see how many it's got now. Oh, see, it's gone up now. It's accept cookies. It's got nearly 2,000. Oh, it has got 2001. There, it's going now. It's going now. I'll sign that later. I won't do it now, but I'll sign that later. I'll stick it. No, I'll just leave it there for now. So there we go. Yes, so that's the petition at change.org. As usual, all the links are in the description below. I'll add this one as well. Maybe. But it's in the the link is in there, and the link for that is in the description, so you can follow that. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share the videos and hit the notification bell and drop a comment. And join the live chat. Not that there's anybody there as usual. and I hope you enjoy the video and my rambling reading. Right, let's move on. Star Wars next. Ba-doom again. Obi-Wan. Oh, this direct one, isn't it? Always the direct.com always does this. I've got to refresh. Come on. Hey, there we go. I wonder why it does that. I think it's the only website that does that. Just leaves a blank screen for some reason. I'm sure you technical chaps out there will know why. Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus rumour reveals possible trailer release date. Obi-Wan Kenobi is the hot topic amongst Star Wars fans right now, as it's the next live-action project set to release on Disney Plus under Lucasfilm. Ewan McGregor's limited solo series has built up substantial hype over the last few months, with it set to finally fill the gap between 2005's Episode 3 and 1997's Episode 4. Impressively, all this excitement is in place with no trailer or official footage of any kind released to the public. Is that worrying? Over the last few weeks, Obi-Wan Kenobi has ramped up its promotional tour as fans look forward to seeing the first official look at this 6-episode epic. Sorry, I was just glancing over there. I saw something out the corner of my eye, and it was my screen over here, and Never mind. This largely came with the show's first official poster, which centred on a beaten and battered Obi-Wan as he wandered in the desert while holding a lightsaber in his hand, one that fans believe is Anakin Skywalker's. With less than 3 months until Obi-Wan Kenobi's premiere on May 25th, anticipation is building to see what Lucasfilm and Disney have in store. Now as that date inches closer, reports are teasing when fans should be looking for that long-awaited first trailer. The Making Star Wars YouTube channel shared a rumour suggesting that the first trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi will arrive on either Wednesday, March 9th or Thursday, March 10th. According to their sources, the site saw evidence of shots from the trailer that looked too good to be fake. The person that showed them the images claimed that the trailer will debut on the 9th, while another rumour indicated that it would come one day later. We had a new source, a source that I'm not familiar with. Such a chav. That's why we're putting this as a rumour, and we're trying to be very clear about this being a rumour, but they showed evidence from a Kenobi trailer. We have seen the evidence that these are shots from the Kenobi trailer and nothing amazing. But the new costume, things you really realistically could not just go out and fake. And this person claims that the trailer will drop on the 9th. That's 1 week from today. If we remember, we had heard another rumour before that it was coming on the 10th. This other person comes with pictures going, it's on the 9th. If these rumours are to be believed, Obi-Wan Kenobi is getting ready to make a big splash in the foreseeable future. Should the trailer debut on either March 9th or 10th, it would arrive only 2.5 months before the series begins streaming on Disney+. For comparison, the first trailer for the Book of Boba Fett arrived less than 2 months before its first episode, while there was a close to 2.5 month delay between the first trailer and debut for Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Now, the big question is how much Lucasfilm will choose to show on screen when that first trailer arrives. Rumours are pointing to part of this show focusing on the former Jedi Master's mission to save a young Princess Leia, which seems to be the main plot point in his solo series. Additionally, with high-profile cast members like Kumail Nanjiani and O'Shea Jackson Jr., not including Hayden Christensen's Darth Vader, Obi-Wan is far from the only big name to look out for. Regardless of how plot-heavy this first trailer is, any look into the next Star Wars project will be thrilling for the fandom after hearing so much about McGregor's return to the franchise following a 17-year absence. The first footage from Tatooine should be a sight to behold. It's more sand, isn't it? So there you go. A week, and we should get the first trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I bet you out it doesn't show as much. I bet it don't. Right, next up, we're back to bounding into comics again. Lord of the Rings. New Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power leaks detail Galadriel's rage and the plot information about Halbrand. A brand new set of alleged leaks from The Lord of the Rings of Power, show off a new scene and detail Galadriel's rage. And there she is, all armoured up. As she shouldn't be. This new set of alleged leaks comes from Twitter user Fellowship Fans. They begin, Galadriel and Halbrand are brought before the court of Miriel and Pharazôn by Elendil, to the surprise of everybody, still in the rags from when they were rescued from the shipwreck. And there's the tweet. In the next tweet, they detail tense introduction follows, or exclusive tense introduction follows, verbal standoffs between Galadriel, Miriel, and Pharazôn, where Galadriel proclaims her lineage. It's Halbrand who tries to act as the conciliatory one and keeps Galadriel's rage in check. They're both then marched off to their quarters or jail, unconfirmed, by guards, during which time Halbrand secretly gets a dagger from Elendil. This is when Galadriel fights off guards, not when she arrives to Numenor. Finally, they add, in the trailer, the Numenorians are saving Galadriel and Halbrand from the shipwreck. During their voyage to Numenor, all three, Elendil, Halbrand and Galadriel, become closer. They reveal more about Halbrand and the scene where Galadriel is being rescued from the sea on their YouTube channel. They claimed Halbrand potentially either causes one of the shipwrecks out at sea or saves Galadriel only, leaving everyone else on the ship to die. And I presume that's the YouTube channel. I won't press play because I don't want to get copyright strikes and all that stuff. This leak comes after Prime Video provided a first look at the TV series to Vanity Fair, where Galadriel is described as thousands of years younger, as angry and brash as she is clever, and certain that evil is looming closer than anyone realises. If you want to know more about Lord of the Rings, go to Just Some Guys. You'll know more about, Lord of the Rings Tolkien fans' thoughts about this new series. Go to Just Some Guys channel, and you'll get an education. Because I'm not really a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I've got the books, and I read The Hobbit when I was younger, just once. I've got the books, I've not read them, because, as I've said before, I'm not a big fan of Tolkien's writing style. I find it a slog, and I haven't read them. If something's a bit of a slog to read, I lose interest. It's just the way I am. I'm obviously thick. Anyway, her wading into combat to fight off guards should also not come as a surprise, as the Vanity Fair article detailed that Galadriel would be the commander of the northern armies. On top of that, in the first trailer, Galadriel is shown leading men into combat on horseback, as well as climbing what appears to be a glacier or a mountain in full armour. This leak also appears to back up a previous leak from Fellowship fans that detailed that Miriel would be in charge of Numenor rather than Pharazôn. I hope I'm pronouncing them right, I don't know if I am. Back in December, Fellowship fans detailed that Pharazôn will be Miriel's chief advisor and will unexpectedly defer to Miriel's seniority, but for the most part, he acted like he was in charge, but not king. And that's what he says there. If this leak is true, it's in direct contradiction to Tolkien's work in the Silmarillion, something showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay indicate they could not do. Speaking to Vanity Fair, Payne detailed that they did not have the rights to much of Tolkien's writings on the Second Age. He explained, "We have the rights solely to the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, the Appendices and the Hobbit, and that is it. We do not have the rights to the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, the History of Middle-earth, or any of those other books." McKay would then make it crystal clear that they would not be able to contradict works that they did not have the rights to. There's a version of everything we need for the Second Age in the books we have the rights to. As long as we're painting within those lines and not egregiously contradicting something we don't have the rights to, there's a lot of leeway and room to dramatise and tell some of the best stories that Tolkien ever came up with, he added. Well, if this leak is true, it makes McKay out to be the liar. Oh, a liar. Wait a minute. Because Tolkien's writings about Miriel and Pharazôn are quite detailed. In the Silmarillion, Pharazôn marries his cousin Miriel against her will in order to usurp the Númenórean throne. Tolkien writes, "And it came to pass that Tar Palantir grew weary of grief and died. He had no son, but a daughter only, whom he named Miriel in the Elven tongue. And to her now by right and the laws of the Númenóreans came the sceptre. But Pharazôn took her to wife against her will, doing evil in this and evil also in that the laws of Númenor did not permit the marriage, even in the royal house, of those more nearly akin than cousins in the second degree." See what I mean, Matt? His writing style, it does me head in. He continued. I know it's slightly old-fashioned. "And when they were wedded, he seized the sceptre into his own hand, taking the title of Pharazôn, Tar Calion in the Elven tongue, and the name of his queen he changed to Zimrafel," Tolkien wrote. Pharazôn was also not an advisor, rather he was a warrior who participated in the Númenóreans' excursions into Middle-earth. Tolkien writes in the Silmarillion, "For Pharazôn, son of Gimilcad, had become a man, yet more restless and eager for wealth and power than his father. He had fared often abroad, as a leader in the wars that the Númenóreans made then in the coastlands of Middle-earth, seeking to extend their dominion over men, and thus he had won great renown as a captain both by land and by sea. Therefore, when he came back to Númenor, hearing of his father's death, the hearts of the people were turned to him, for he brought with him great wealth, and was for the time free in his giving." In fact, it is not Galadriel who has fits of rage, but Pharazôn, whose anger grows. Tolkien wrote, "Great was the anger of Pharazôn at these tidings, and as he pondered long in secret, his heart was filled with the desire of power unbounded, and the sole dominion of his will. and he determined, without counsel of the Valar or the aid of any wisdom but his own, that the title of King of Men he would himself claim, and would compel Sauron to become his vassal and his servant, for in his pride he deemed that no king should ever arise so mighty as to vie with the heir of Irendil. What do you make of this latest rumour? And that's it. Oh, I see, there's a link there. Look, YouTube, just some guy on The Lord of the Rings of Power, casting non-white actors in a Middle-earth show is like casting white actors in a Black Panther movie. So there you go, just some guy mentioned there. Yeah, so that's it. They're making changes just for the sake of it, I think. And because they think the audience can't keep up with a drawn-out tale that lasts thousands of years. They think the audience can't keep up. And they can. They can. Never belittle your audience. That's cleverer than you think. Right, next up, we're on to some sciencey news now. Sort of science. Let's close that. So, mermaid mummy mystery to be blown open as scientists scan eerie remains. A mummified mermaid from Japan, said by legend, to grant immortality to whomever eats its flesh, is to be examined by scientists to reveal its true nature. The baby-sized hoax sports... How did they know it's a hoax? Might not be. That's what the scientists are going to determine. The baby-sized hoax sports a fish-like lower half and a humanoid upper body with thin arms, shark-like teeth set in a grimacing face, and hair on its head and brow. Now held in the Enjuin Temple in the city of Asakuchi, fishermen allegedly caught the mermaid off the coast of Kochi Prefecture on Japan's Shikoku Island between 1736 and 1741. The strange specimen has been taken for CT scanning by researchers from the Kurashiki University of Science and the Arts in Okayama in a bid to unpick the mystery of its origins. Project leader Hiroshi Kinoshita of the Okayama Folklore Society said the gruesome-looking specimen may have religious significance. He said Japanese mermaids have a legend of immortality. It is said that if you eat the flesh of a mermaid, you will never die. There's a legend in many parts of Japan that a woman accidentally ate the flesh of a mermaid and lived for 800 years. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. Must be mermaid repeating on me. This legend is also preserved near the temple where the mermaid mummy was found. I heard that some people, believing in the legend, used to eat the scales of mermaid mummies. And there's a picture. There it is. Is it real or is it a hoax? It doesn't look very real, does it? Doesn't look very real at all. And it doesn't look anything like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, I'll tell you that for note. Anyway, a letter stored alongside the mummy, apparently penned by a former owner back in 1903, claims to tell the story of the fishy creature's provenance. It reads, a mermaid was caught in a fish-catching net in the sea of Kochi Prefecture. Was it Kochi? I don't know. The fisherman who caught it did not know it was a mermaid, but took it to Osaka and sold it as an unusual fish. My ancestors bought it and kept it as a family treasure. So was it alive then? Or was it dead? I don't know. It is unclear at what point the specimen was brought to the Enjuin Temple, but according to the chief priest, Kozen Kuida, the mermaid was put on display in a glass case some 40 years ago. That's in the 1860s then, won't it? Although it has since been transferred into a fireproof safe. He told the Asahi Shimbun, we have worshipped it, hoping that it would help alleviate the coronavirus pandemic, even if only slightly. In Japanese myth, Mr. Kinoshita explained there is a legend in which a mermaid predicted the outbreak of an infectious disease. There's always infectious diseases, isn't there? Anyway, that's another one, isn't it? A different one. Oh, there's another mermaid hoax. Oh, it doesn't show up for you. There's a little pop-up little thing there. Oh, there's a bit of writing there. We'll click on that. Can you see that? There we go. There's a precedent for elaborate mermaid hoaxes like this one from a 2015 Denver-based exhibit. This one The writing so pale you can hardly read it, can you? P.T. Barnum, right, and as portrayed by Hugh Jackman, left, displayed the Fiji Mermaid. Oh yeah, there you go. And it looks very similar actually, that, doesn't it, to this Japanese one? Anyway, while the priests of Enjuin Temple may worship the mummified specimen, Mr. Kinoshita believes that it was deliberately manufactured at some point during Japan's Edo period, which spanned from 1603 to 1867. He said, "Of course, I don't think it's a real mermaid. I think this was made for export to Europe or for spectacles in Japan. The legends of mermaids remain in Europe, China, and Japan, and all over the world. Therefore, I can imagine that people at that time were also very interested in it. I think it is made from living animals, and we would like to identify them by CT scans or DNA testing. It looks like a fish with scales on the lower body and a primate with hands and a face on the upper body. How big is it? In fact, in Japanese folklore, a creature called Ningyo, literally human fish, is described very similarly, having a monkey's mouth, small teeth like a fish, shining golden scales, and a voice like a small bird." That's the Fiji Mermaid. The Fiji Mermaid inspired similar hoaxes like this one on display in the Booth Museum, Brighton. And we haven't done yet. There is certainly a precedent for such elaborate cryptozoological hoaxes. P.T. Barnum, the American businessman and circus operator whose life inspired the 2017 film The Greatest Showman, exhibited a similar specimen at his American Museum in New York from 1842 until the building burnt to the ground in 1865. The so-called Fiji Mermaid, named for the islands near where it was ostensibly caught in the South Pacific, consisted of the mummified torso and head of a juvenile monkey that had been sewn onto the tail of a fish. The specimen went on to inspire a series of similar hoaxes, one of which is on display in the Booth Museum of Natural History in Brighton, England. The full findings of the fresh examination of the mummy will be published later this year. And there you go. And there you go. Is it real or is it not real? How big is it? It doesn't say how big it is, does it? Is it small? Is it like, a few inches long, or is it like a foot and a half long? Or I don't know. Is it 3 foot long? It don't look very big. That cotton wool there doesn't look massive, does it? And that lace is there, so it's not very big. It might have said somewhere. I've just forgotten. Anyway, there you go. That's interesting. Anyway, next up, bit of spacey news. Here we go. You can watch an asteroid zoom safely by Earth in a live webcast today. Online coverage starts Thursday, March 3rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A huge asteroid will safely fly by Earth today, March 3rd, and you can watch it live online. The Virtual Telescope Project is planning to stream live telescope views of the asteroid 138971 2001 CB21 during its approach. The space rock is technically classified as potentially hazardous, but there's no need to worry. The asteroid will pass by the equivalent of nearly 13 times the average Earth-Moon distance, 3 million miles or 4.9 million kilometres. Or is it kilometres? According to the Centre for Near-Earth Object Studies, CNEOS, managed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, asteroid 2001 CB21 measures between 1,800 feet, 560 metres, and 0.7 miles, 1.2 kilometres in diameter, according to CNEOS. That's about as big as Chicago's Navy Pier. The Virtual Telescope Project's event starts at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 0300 Greenwich Mean Time. That's Friday, March the 4th. That's because the early hours, isn't it? For us in the UK, it's 3 in the morning on the Friday morning. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Typically, the project uses a telescope based near Rome, run by founder Gianluca Massi. The potentially hazardous asteroid 138971 2001 CB21, I think give it a name, will have a relatively close and obviously safe flyby with our planet. Massey said in a statement, the Virtual Telescope Project will show it to you live online. Join us from the comfort of your home. If you're looking for a telescope or binoculars to spot asteroids like this one, check out our guide for the best binocular deals, best telescope deals available now. Our best cameras for astrophotography and best lenses for astrophotography can also help you pick the best imaging gear. NASA keeps its eyes peeled for asteroids using a network of partner telescopes as well as space observations coordinated through the Planetary Defence Coordination Office. Ooh, that sounds ominous, doesn't it? The agency has found no imminent threats yet, but it continues to search to be proactive. The agency also tests out asteroid defence technologies, not that we need them yet, such as one that will arrive at an asteroid moon very shortly. In late September or early October 2022, the 1,210-pound, 550-kilogram DART spacecraft will slam into a small asteroid named Dimorphos, changing this space rock's orbit around its larger companion Didymos. Overall, we know of around 750,000 asteroids, but the vast majority don't come anywhere near Earth. Scientists have identified more than 27,000 near-Earth asteroids, with new ones spotted constantly. Potentially hazardous asteroids are classified as those space rocks over a certain brightness, implying a certain size. That's that close there, doesn't it? Although the correlation isn't perfect. That come within 4.65 million miles, 7.48 million kilometres of Earth. The distance is 1/20th of the average distance between the Earth and the Sun. And that's it. There we go. Well, these up here is this... where is it? Is that the link then? So we click on it. We'll click on it. We'll open it in a new window. Oh, pardon me. Where are we? Is this the... oh, yes. It's going live in 6 hours. Oh, my, because that's free, isn't it? So that's the link if you want to watch it go by. There it is, a little dot there. That's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what will that be? You know, Pacific Time. It's another 3 hours in it. So that's earlier. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, innit? Is it, or is it 6? I don't know how it works it out. Countries that straddle time zones. It's 3 a.m. in the UK. Anyway. And finally, I'll keep that there because I'll not be up at 3 a.m. but it'll remind me in the morning. Finally, here we go. NASA, this is from a few days ago actually. In 2013, the Cassini spacecraft captured this wide-angle view of Saturn and a chunk of its rings. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. That pale blue dot just below the rings, that's Earth from about 898 million miles, 1.4 billion kilometres away. There you go. Can you see me pointer there? It's there, look. It's there. That's the Earth from Saturn. It's actually brighter than I expected it to be. There you go. I think that's the dot they mean. Because that's just below the rings, isn't it? They don't mean that one, do they? There's one there. There's one there. Presuming they mean that one. Anyway, under Saturn's rings. Look, it's majestic. There you go. Thought I'd leave you with a nice image of space. Right, so I'll get rid of that. And I'll make myself bigger again. Not that you want to see my ugly mug. Not that you want to see my ugly mug. Right, so that's it for today. Ooh, yeah, I've got this ergonomic mouse and my hand's still at, didn't tell you. The lie, the do. Anyway, so good luck if you're going to stop up and watch the asteroid go by. Don't think I will. Not 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a bit too late, is that? Or early, depending on how you look at it. And don't forget to sign that petition if you want Kurtzman Trek expunged from canon. Oh dear. But as I said, I saw the first episode of Picard Season 2 and I didn't hate it. I did have some problems, slight problems, but the story was a bit, unoriginal. But they did try to explain some things. I keep going about Alison Pill's character, Dr. Girardi, being a murderess, and she's no consequences for her actions, but they do explain that she does, in like one line, she says, I basically got off with it because I would temper insanity by an alien influence. Yeah. Didn't look very insane to me. She looked upset like, but anyway. And some other stuff. They go on about the 7 of 9 and Raffi relationship, which isn't really happening because they're not together. They're separated by space. But anyway, I'm spoiling things now, so I won't. I'll do a proper review another time. I might do episode by episode, or I might just wait and just do a season review. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, right then. So I'll leave it there. So until tomorrow, fingers crossed. Don't forget to be, nice to each other. Why would you forget to be nice to each other? I don't know, but don't forget. Be nice to each other. Help those in need if you're able. And until tomorrow, I'll say this.